All right. Good to see everybody. Thanks once again for being here and being vaccinated so we can do this live. And thank you for covering Wake Forest football. We always appreciate the coverage. Just last week, it was a good win against a very good Army football team. They had won 13 in a row at home. Again, they were ready to play and very competitive. I joke with Coach Ruggiero on the way home that if I was him, I'd retire. I mean, that'd be a mic drop right there, right? We scored touchdowns on 10 out of 11 drives. Every time we were out there, it felt like we needed to score, and every time except once that we didn't convert a 4th and 1, we scored. And Army going into the game had one of the higher ranked defenses in the country. So to dismiss it that it was against a weak defense wouldn't be accurate. That was a team that was playing at a very high level on defense, and obviously Sam has got a lot of national awards, but it was across the board. I mean, our O-line played really well. Zach Tom had a great game up front. Our receivers were all productive. You try to give Jacory a rest, and Keyshawn goes in there and gets a 75-yard play and outruns everybody. So it was just really, you go back and watch the film, and it was probably the cleanest offensive performance I've ever seen, and really proud of those guys. Obviously, defensively, we struggled. You got to give a lot of credit to Army. They had a great plan. They executed it well. We were scrambling. When Jalen Garnes went down, and then we had Zion Keith go down, and those are the two guys that we had trained to play that one perimeter position. And then we started moving guys, and then we just beat ourselves. We had 12 guys on the field because we had to move Chase Jones to the position that Zion and Jalen played, and we had a substitution grouping, and he thought that those guys were on that grouping, and they weren't. That is on us as coaches. That's not on him. We have an interception, and we have a bad holding call on it. The call was the good call. It was just bad football on our part that had nothing to do with the play, and we didn't need to do it. And so that's a second, so we don't get off the field because of 12 guys we don't get off because of 12 guys on the field. We don't get off on an interception because we have an unnecessary holding. It's 3rd and 8, and we have a guy jumping a screen that he's not even responsible for, and they complete a 20-yard ball. And we just did some really unfortunate things. And, the last way you think Army's going to beat you is by throwing the ball. And, they got after us. Their one player made some great catches on the perimeter against what we feel is one of the best corners in the ACC. So we didn't play well, but like I told our team, you have games like that in a season, and, our defense played 14 points better than Army's defense. And what a big deal we make here of the turnover battle, and we won the turnover battle 2-0. And Trey Red's play on the field goal, the fake field goal, was awesome. And then we recovered the fumble and scored. And so we had 14 points off of turnovers that our defense caused, created, whatever, and that turned out to be the difference in the game. So, again, a lot of those guys in the locker room afterwards weren't happy, and they were disappointed in how they played. But it's hard to win. It really is. It's hard to win football games, and that offense is a pain in the neck. And again, credit to them. But we certainly weren't happy with how we played, but we did find a way to win collectively as a team. And that's our goal every game. And I told our team, I don't care if we win 70-56, and I was just as happy when we beat BC 3-0. Those are all wins, and it's hard to win. So this week we have Duke, homecoming game here, and we're excited. I think Duke's a very improved football team. Offensively, they are very, very talented. Their offense is whatever, third, fourth, fifth in the conference. They're moving the ball 471 yards a game. They're averaging over 200 yards a game on the ground. We certainly have not played good rush defense the last few weeks. So that's something we're going to have to tighten down, or it's going to be a long day. But they're balanced. They're throwing it for 270. The running back Durant, 870 yards. He's excellent out of the backfield. He can catch the ball. We know him well. This is going to be a theme of this press conference, but he was a player that we recruited hard. We thought he was a great back out of high school, and we loved him. And I would say right up there with Tucker at Syracuse, this is probably one of the best backs that we've faced the whole season. Just watching their explosive play film, I mean, it's 59-yard run, 53-yard run, 53-yard pass. He just makes so many plays. He's strong, he's fast, he's got excellent balance, he's hard to bring down. If we try to arm tackle him, he'll have 300 yards against us. The quarterback Holmberg, again, he's a quarterback that we liked. We recruited him. He was here early, and he's completing 70% of his balls. He's got, if you take away the sacks, he's got 250 yards rushing. Very impressed with his toughness. He takes some hits and he steps into throws, and he's somebody that I think plays with a lot of courage. On the outside, they've got, a bunch of really good receivers. The Calhoun kid, number 5, is a big play threat. He's explosive, and Bobo is another guy that we tried to recruit hard. We really liked him a lot, and we were very much involved in that one, and he's really developed as a big-time go-up-and-get-it guy, 6'4", 6'5". He can make contested catches. Their other receivers, Pan, Cole, Harding, are all good playmakers. The O-line's very improved. They were banged up a little bit last year. They got guys healthy. The tight end, Marweedy, again, we tried to recruit him. He was somebody that we offered out of high school, and he's become really good. And defensively, they're always tough. They play a style of defense that they challenge you. It's a lot of breathalyzer man. They're right in your face. They don't give you any freebies. They've been really good in the secondary. How many guys did they have drafted last year in the secondary? I think at least 2 guys. And they've got a bunch of guys this year, again, that I think will be pro football players. Both the corners, Leonard Johnson, Blackwell, again, we tried to recruit him. Really good player. Lummy Young just tackles everything. The linebackers are athletic. They can go sideline to sideline. The Hayward kid, 6'4", 220, 60 tackles. He's all over the field. And again, they've always been good on the D-line. They had a kid drafted a year ago, and so, this is a very much improved football team. It's a rivalry game for us. There's still a sting from 2017. And they came in here and we probably overall had the better team, and they played a great game against us and beat us. So Duke is always a challenge for us. And, we need our fans to come out. I really want to thank our students. It's pretty remarkable. If you look at our student body, 80% of our student body have been to 2 games or more this year. I bet you there's very few schools in the country that can make that claim. So we need 90% of them to come out to this game. And, hopefully we have a good crowd. There's a lot that we're playing for, and this is an in-state Big Four rivalry game. So, again, Duke's a big one for us. And we have a lot of respect for Coach Cutcliffe, and he's a tremendous coach and has done a great job there. So this will be a good challenge for us back in the conference.
Given how banged up the defense is, you're not going to get into player specifics, but
I'll get into some guys if you want me to, Connor. Chalon Garnes is probably out for the rest of the regular season. We hope to get him back for the bowl game. It's anytime you play that option, you're going to come out of it next week not healthy. I mean, just those, and again, it's the offense and everything they do is legal, but those cut blocks, you always come out of that thing banged up and ankles and whatever, and he's probably going to be out for a while. Ja'Cory Johns is going to be out for a while. He didn't dress and he didn't make the trip. I think we'll have very optimistic that we will have Nasir. I was hoping we'd have him last week, and then he had a little bit of a setback in practice after the press conference, so we decided to hold off for a week, but we think we'll have him available. But we've got other good players. This is where, I talk so much about depth, but, you lose a guy like Jalen Garnes, and you still have Nasir Greer coming back, and you still have Travion Red and Nick Anderson and Malik Mustafa, and Evan Slocum is now healthy again, so he'll be back, and J.J. Roberts and Zion Keith. So we've, even with the guys we've lost, we're in much better shape than we've ever been from a depth standpoint. So that's why it's important we develop it. So things happen. They happen in other programs in the conference, and we're not alone. But I think our ability to handle that and still put out good players, has never been better. And we get DJ Taylor back. He was out last week. So, Smenda can't play in the first half, which is bad news. The good news is DJ Taylor's back ready to go.
Given that, is the door still open for this to be a balanced football team?
Yeah, Connor. And again, I still would say we're more balanced than we've ever been. The nature of what we do on offense, we're probably never going to have a top 3 or a top 4 defense. If you look at yardage and if you look at stop rate and things like that, our defense was one of the best in the ACC going into last weekend. So, and if you look at scoring defense, we're still in the top half after giving up 56 points. Our yardage numbers are never going to be in the top 5. When you play the way we play on offense and snap the ball quickly, play counts are going to be up. And when play counts are going to be up, yardage totals are going to be up. Now, that doesn't explain last week. Right? But I would argue that, you look at what Virginia is offensively this year. Has anyone defended them better than us? So, we still have a group that's capable of playing good defense and being balanced. We had a really, really bad day against the option. And it's a little problematic because, 2 weeks before that, we struggled defending Syracuse on the ground. So I'm not ignoring the problem, but I still think that we have the makings of a good defense. But to me, our defense needs to be measured on points and stops, not yards, because that's not a fair measurement of how we play football here with our offense.
You went through and mentioned mistakes from the last game. Are those mistakes that you're worried about that can carry over to other teams versus Army's such a different animal that doesn't really apply?
Well, I hope not. I get what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, the answer to your question is yes. I mean, you're spending so much time defending the option and who's got the pitch and who's got the quarterback and who went in motion, and the guy that didn't go in motion, did he arc block, did he go vertical, did he seal block, did he load block? And sometimes when you're so focused on those things, sometimes you forget it's 3rd and 12. You know what I'm saying? It just, it's one of those things that for 2 weeks you're training your eyes and it's different. And sometimes you lose track of the big picture, that it's 3rd and 12. They pitch the ball and I get there late and tackle it for an 8-yard gain. It's still 4th and 4. You don't need to jump the screen. We just did a lot of things like that. And again, Army, I told you last week, Jeff knows what he's doing. They get out there and they run that motion and they see how you adjust, and, they always create numbers and leverage, and we didn't get off of blocks as well as we needed to. We certainly as coaches had to look in the mirror and, if we had to do it over, there's certain things we'd do over. I think our plan was sound, but once they figured out our plan, I don't know if we had enough answers built into what they were doing. They went into that game, and 70% of their snaps, they were playing with a tight end. And so we were so prepared for all their unbalanced formations and their tight ends and their shifts. And against us, they came out and they played 80% of the game without a tight end. So you only have so much time to get ready for it. You're going to get ready for what they've shown. And then they come out with something completely new that's not something that you've defended before. And it's not new to what they do. It wasn't what they were doing. And so, again, credit to them. They had a great plan. We did not have great adjustments, but you still can't give up 4th and 12 for a touchdown. You still can't jump a screen on 3rd and 8. You still can't have 12 guys on the field. You still can't hold when you're one of the best cover guys in the ACC and your man just goes vertical and you grab them. And some of that's on us as coaches, and some cases the players didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it's certainly a shared responsibility that, is together. We just didn't do a good job.
Dave, you mentioned the physicality of last week's game, you guys getting banged up. Going into this week, you adjust the practice plan a little bit for you guys, and you get your legs back, ahead of the Duke game, rest the guys a little bit more normal, or do you just keep it same as because we've had success with that?
We adjust every week. So, now our offense, they're fresh. So, those guys played, at most maybe 50 plays, and a lot of guys played 40. So, you come into the meeting and they sit on this side and they were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they were ready to go practice. The defensive guys, the shoulders, the ankles. So we adjusted our practice a little bit. We tweaked things a little bit, but you still got to get your preparation in, and no rest for the weary. You go from an Army team that's one of the best rushing teams in the country to an offense, Mateo Durant, Jordan Waters, that's rushing the ball for over 200 yards a game and almost 75 yards a game of offense. So you got to prepare, because these guys move the ball against everybody. But yes, we tweak it every week. And this is where, we hired a guy, Jason George, kind of as our sports scientist that advises us based on player loads and change of directions and all these different formulas that I don't understand. He puts them in a layman's term for me and just says, this is what you need to do. And I listen, because he knows better than I do.
I know we've talked about this a couple weeks already, but how do you feel the team is handling at this point, being 7-0, being nationally ranked, and the expectations now that come with that?
Just trying to win the next week, Les. We're just focused on the next practice. You look at the last few games, right? You beat Louisville with a last-second field goal. You beat Syracuse in overtime, and you're hanging on for 60 minutes against Army. Now you go back, and I think some of those earlier wins probably look a little better right now. Florida State turning out to be a pretty good football team. Virginia's having a heck of a year. We've played close, tough games, and a lot of these games, you'd say Louisville, Syracuse, Army. Army, we have one turnover. The Army game, getting the 2-score lead was huge, because if that became 7 points tied, 7 points tied, 7 points down 1, what do you think they were doing? They were going for 2. And at that point, that would have been really hard to stop. So we've been in tough games, and our players know it. And so I think they're handling it really well.
Is that something that, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, that's a variable, but they've had some time it's been 4-0 in the ACC or 5-0. They've had time to kind of play with this extra attention. Do you think that's helped?
Again, it sounds cliche-ish, but we just try to get them focused on the next challenge. And I think any time you look ahead or start looking at things that you don't control, right, then you kind of lose your focus, and that's when things get away. So, I'm not going to be up here campaigning of where we should be or what attention we should get. I mean, I don't control any of that. We control our preparation, our focus, our effort. And like I said a week ago, every team on our schedule could beat us if we're not focused and we don't play good football. And our players know that, right? I mean, look at the schedule. These are all good football teams. They're all well-coached teams. They all have good football players. I mean, turn on the film. Watch Mateo Durant run the ball. Watch Jake Bobo go up and get a jump ball against everybody. Watch Leonard Johnson cover people. I mean, these guys are good players. Duke is a very, very talented football team. And you can watch the film, and you got to get ready for the best version of the team you're playing. And the best version of Duke is capable of beating a lot of people.
I know it's hard to find any high spots defensively Saturday, but what did you think of Dylan Hazen getting in there and making an impact, and also the play Chase Jones made and tipping that one pass away?
You know what, Les? It's never as good, it's never as bad. I mean, Rondell Bothroyd played his butt off. What a play Travion Red made on the fake field goal. Dylan Hazen, that's the first game he played in. We decided because of what we're going to do on defense and play with 3 linebackers, that was going to be one of his 4 games. And he went out there and he wasn't nervous, and he tackled everything. He looked great. We had some guys that played well and played really hard. And that was frustrating about it. You couldn't come in on Sunday and Saturday night and say, these guys didn't give us effort. And that's where at times you look at yourself as coaches. Geez, what could we have done better? Because the guys played hard. Now, we didn't get off of perimeter blocks. There's 2 or 3 times early that we got cut and they got the edge. And then we adjusted and forced things inside. We did an awful job of seeing pulls in the trap game. I can't tell you how many times last week we ran trap. And then we got into the game and we couldn't defend the fullback trap. We couldn't defend the slot trap. I mean, our eyes were just, we didn't feel those things at all. But there were some players that played really hard and played well. So unfortunately, there wasn't a lot to show for it with 500, 600 some yards and 56 points. But, it doesn't mean that we didn't have guys. Luke Masterson played his butt off. Miles Fox played hard. Sometimes you play hard and you don't play well. But, Army has players too, and their coaches are good coaches, and it happens. Anything from the Washington Post today?
We did have an article that came out this week.
That's right. Washington Post had an article on Wake Forest, so that was good.
I didn't write it.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you about receivers a little bit when you're developing receivers. You guys have a knack for, like, the Save and Scotty, guys that can make contested catches.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've seen AT and Sorry really settle into that. Kind of when you're scouting a guy, right, for recruiting and then how you want to develop them, how do you sort of hone that skill and look for it, I guess?
Well, first of all, I think Warren Ruggiero, our offensive coordinator, does a great job of defining what we need each position to do. And then, I mean, oh my goodness, I think we have the best wide receiver coach in the whole country. I mean, Kevin Higgins, are you kidding me? I mean, every single year, right, we're going to be bad because we lose receivers. So, we lose Tabari Hines, and then you got Greg Dortch, and then you lose Greg Dortch, we're in trouble. We got Kendall Hinton, and then you lose Kendall Hinton, and then you got Ja'Cory Roberson, and you lose Sage Surratt, and you lose Scotty Washington, and then Donovan Green gets hurt. Now you have a Torian Perry and Taylor Marin, and Donald Stewart did some good things. And then, Kevin Higgins is just so consistent. He's that perfect balance of being such a great teacher of the offense and individual skills, and he's demanding, but his players trust him so much. And it's just, right? Alex Bachman. I mean, how many guys in our receiver room didn't have another Power 5 offer and end up eventually having an NFL paycheck. You know, and now in turn, you know, I think we're starting to attract some better receivers. You know, so I think people are seeing the success our receivers have had at Wake Forest, after Wake Forest, how well they'll get developed here. You know, and again, I really give Warren and Kevin all the credit for that. Warren designs things that maximizes their skill sets, and Kevin, from the day they get here, has a vision and a plan for those guys, and they believe in them.
Can you teach a guy to make those tough physical catches? I mean, some of that sort of, if they've got it in them, I guess, skills and mentality maybe, or can you get more out of a player like you guys have?
I would say yes, because do you remember Scotty Washington and Sage Surratt the first game they played? Scotty Washington, the first game he played, we gave him like 8 of those, and he was 0 for 8. And then by his senior year, they weren't 50-50 balls, they were 80-20 balls. Now, the first year he played, they were like 595 balls. And I would tell that to Scotty. I mean, Scotty Washington was like exhibit A of what it's like to work with Coach Higgins. You know, that first game he played, Tulane, in 2016, oh my goodness. I mean, we gave him how many jump balls, and he didn't catch one of them. And even 2016, the Army game, he had a chance to make a game-winning catch, and, you know, but Kevin doesn't give up on people. Just keeps working with them, and they believe in him, and, you know, look at Scotty Washington in the Belk Bowl, and then look at his senior year, and the catch against Carolina, the catch against BC. I mean, he made so many game-winning catches on those same plays he wasn't making a few years earlier. Yes, I mean, there's a certain skill set and talent level that's required, but like everything, we believe it can be coached and developed under the right mentorship, and we're very fortunate that, I think we have the best wide receiver coach in the country.
Kind of go off that bigger point, you know, the national attention doesn't do any good right now, but is it the exposure and like the potential recruiting effect that this year has? Is that where you see the benefit of national stuff more?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, anytime there's an article that says Wake Forest football is good or Wake Forest football is ranked, we like that attention. So if you want to keep writing those things, we're going to try to keep winning so you can keep writing them. But we never want that to be our main focus. You know, that happens because of what we've done on the field. We're not doing what we do on the field because you get that attention. Like, we never, you know, I mean, I said all offseason I felt we had a good football team. Nobody believed me. We were picked, 5th in the ACC, and I've stopped caring about it. I really have. I mean, it doesn't matter what we do or how many points we score or how many players come back. You know, I think just people don't, a lot of people who vote on that just don't do their homework on us, and that's fine. You know, we focus on the things that we control. And our players have done a good job of that, and there's no point wasting any energy on it because it's not going to help us. And the second you start worrying about that stuff, it's just misplaced energy and time. I want to focus on our football team, our players, getting them ready for the next game. And if we play well in the field, eventually those things happen.